Hello, this is Tara, and welcome to Tara's Mental Calibration. So, before I get started, I am going to let you know that my disclaimer is I am not a mental professional by any means. I am currently in trauma therapy myself, working through stuff, talking about it. This is part of my therapy where I can help me and possibly help somebody else with whatever it is that I'm talking about. The other trigger warning is that you may not like what I have to say. It may trigger some things within you. Um, Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it helps us grow, sometimes it makes us want to curl up in the corner in the fetal position. Trust me when I say I understand all of that, so no judgment. But listen with your discernment. If something feels too uncomfortable, turn off the podcast. And I do recommend everybody, whether you are already recovered versus just starting out, I recommend therapy to everybody. So, we are going to talk about today my own personal favorite, which is knowing that my recovery journey, my healing path, my healing journey is toxic to those who are not on that path. And I've had to learn that I am a pretty laid back person. And I have went years, decades, almost my entire life thinking that something was wrong with me when it comes to people who are detrimental to themselves. And I still get triggered when I am around a person who chooses to stay on a toxic path and a toxic journey. I get triggered when they are not comfortable around me. I've had to come to terms as to why they're not comfortable around me. I have a piece about me that they cannot find within themselves. And so it's hard for me to not take that personally when I want to help people grow. I want to help people love themselves. I want to help people see the ugly things so that way they can make their life prettier and make something, create something that is better than what they had before. And I've had to learn that there are just some people you are not going to be able to get through to. I am a CPTSD survivor, and I can tell you that having having that under my belt, it's been traumatic experience after traumatic experience after traumatic experience without any resting. And I'm now at a point in my life where peace is a necessity. If I do not feel comfortable around you, I will pull my power back. And I'm okay to do that. Um, I kind of I know how to look at a situation from the outside in as well as the inside out. And I have been in a lot of situations where people will try to make it seem like it's about they act the way that they do because I make them uncomfortable. When really that's not the case. If I'm looking at something and I'm like, how can love make you uncomfortable? How can somebody who understands you make you uncomfortable? How can openness make you uncomfortable? Well, if you're dealing with a person who has narcissistic tendencies, and I know that that word narcissist gets thrown around. I feel like everybody has narcissistic tendencies. Even people who are on the recovery journey, if you look up signs of narcissism, everybody displays them at some point. I know that there are, diagnosed narcissists out there, but, you know, I feel like everybody has narcissistic traits when they get triggered or when they get pushed in certain directions. So, with that being said, um, I realize that I do tend to make certain people uncomfortable, and they don't know how to sit in peace. They don't know how to sit in um, self reflection. They don't know how to sit in their own energy, even. And so when they see me or when they're around me, it's like, I can't take this. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know who I am. You know, these are people that continue to do toxic things to themselves. You can have people around you that claim that they are on the healing path, they claim that they're on the healing journey, but they're really not. Because a person who is healing, a person who is on the recovery journey, they don't want to keep setting themselves up for the okey doke crap. They don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again, you know? But then you got people out there who are like, I'm on the recovery path, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but then they keep doing the toxic crap, the lying, the cheating, the doing things behind people's backs, the gossiping. Um, they're out of touch. They're out of touch. And those people will make you feel like you're the problem, even though you're just standing there in the room looking at them like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? A person who wants to heal. Now, keep this in mind. Any of you who are dealing with people who give you a bunch of crap and a bunch of excuses for why they don't heal, please keep this in mind. A person who's on the healing path is not going to get defensive when you ask them a question. A person who has broke trust with you is not going to get defensive when you ask them questions. They're going to take it as an opportunity to gain trust back within your relationship, your friendship, your family ship, whatever it is that is going on with it. People will sit there and make excuses like you should not be hurt over things that they do. And if you're anything like me, I have to fight that urge in believing that I am failing a person when they make a mistake in their life. I feel like that it's my fault that they didn't listen to my advice or I failed them in some way. And so I have been learning to disengage, been learning to let people do as they do. And it's making me think about something that happened, like with my dad when I was 8. It's basically like coming to the conclusion that if you can't beat them, join them and help them do what they need to do to be happy, even if that's toxic stuff. And I'm not talking about like you handing over whatever is toxic for them, but it's more like if they want to be toxic to themselves, disengage yourself and, just support them in what they do. My dad used to try to commit suicide all the time when I was a child, and I was always sent in to handle the problem, which is why I learned how to take it upon myself that if I fail at helping, then, like for my dad in the situation, if I didn't help him, then the outcome would be him dying. Tell that to a 4, 5, 6 year old, right? So that's where I got that mentality from. So now as an adult, well, let me get back to when I turned 8. I was so burnt out for the whole suicide thing at the age of 8. I actually did some research on how a person could successfully commit suicide. And I thought that I was like doing something really good for my dad. And I walked in the room and I'm like, hey, I know you want to do it really, I know you really want to do this. And so now I don't agree with what you're doing, but I am going to encourage you to do what you want to do. I did not think for a second as an 8-year-old that this was not a good thing. You know, I'm 8. So my dad got mad at me because I had ideas. I actually researched at the library how a person can do it. And I told him how he could do it successfully. And I said, I don't agree, but if this is really what you want to do, then I'm going to support you in doing that. And, he was like, so are you saying that you want me dead? And it's like, no, I don't want you dead. But after that, don't you know, I became the problem. Like all of a sudden, I'm the one who wanted him dead. And it's like, no, I just want you to be happy. And if that means this is what makes you happy, I don't want to agree with it, but I'm tired of trying to stop you. So as an adult, I'm kind of like that with people now. It's like, I'll give you a chance until you get to a certain point. But then it's like, I can't help you anymore. And you have to start looking at, you know, keeping your power to yourself and just think about how much would you thrive without having to deal with, people who don't want to succeed. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you're running away from them. It doesn't mean that you are going to leave them in the dust and in the cold. It just means that you're not going to enable it anymore, any further, by giving energy somewhere that isn't respecting it, that isn't cherishing it, that isn't taking advantage of it in a good way and using it so they can do better. So then you become a spectator. Just take a step back, watch what they do, and pay attention. Keep yourself protected. Don't engage as much as you can, no matter what. And they will try to trigger you. They will try to make you engage by either isolating, stonewalling, withholding affection, withholding emotion. What I always find funny about people who withhold stuff like that, most of the time, they're not teaching you to run after them. They are teaching you how to live without them and, you know, use it as a tool to make you stronger and stay calm. I read somewhere wise people stay calm and not let it, try to not let it bother your day. And I know that it's easier said than done. I definitely know it's easier said than done. I also know that it is doable. And when you start pulling back your energy and you start looking at things for yourself and letting people do what they do, it does become better for you. It can be kind of sad, but the universe will open up other doors for you. I was talking to my mom on the phone a couple of days ago, and I was telling her how over time I feel like I'm desensitized. But I think it's okay that I'm desensitized. I care about what I need to care about. I put passion in what I need to put passion in. And what's deserving of my love gets it. And I am so okay with just letting things be. I am a 3-time divorcee. The first time I divorced my first husband. The second time, I divorced my second husband. I am currently married in my third marriage, but this time, the divorce that I had to do was divorcing my old self and not doing the same things that I've done before. Not be stupid, not repeat history. I'm smart enough to know that I don't want to repeat history. And it saddens me. It really does sadden me when there are great people out there that repeat history over and over and over again, and then they wonder why their life doesn't change, and they feel sorry for themselves, and they play the woes me card, and then they do more toxic stuff on top of it, and then they find the excuses, excuse here, excuse A, B, C through Z, all except just saying that they need to be accountable and be self-disciplined. I think so many people think that just because they say they want to heal, that's it. They stop doing the work and they go back and forth. And going back and forth is so much worse than just sticking to it. Because not only are you breaking trust within yourself, not taking yourself seriously, but you can kind of look like a joke to somebody else that is truly there for you. And you can also lose trust, or you can break trust with the person that you shouldn't be breaking trust with. So many things I've seen happen with people who claim that they want to heal and they don't really want to heal. They'd rather stay in their own misery or stay in their own toxicity. And it's really painful to watch. But it's like once you see it and you start desensitizing yourself, it's just like watching a person throw themselves in front of a bus and be like, are you going to come save me? No, actually, I'm not, because I got things to do. But if you want to step off the highway there, I'm here. I mean, maybe I'm cold for that. I don't think I'm cold. I think I'm selective. So it's like, I really have a hard time with liars who don't take themselves seriously. I can't take you seriously if you're not taking yourself seriously. And I actually put that to myself as well. I hold myself that kind of accountable. Sometimes I'm too hard on myself, I've been a jerk to myself a lot. And if I'm like that with myself, I can definitely be like that with somebody else, especially when they can do better. And, just know that if you are on a healing journey, don't be discouraged, or try your best not to be discouraged in thinking that you're doing something wrong for rubbing a person the wrong way that is toxic, a toxic person. Don't be afraid of rubbing a toxic person the wrong way. Because to you, or to them, to them, you are the toxic one. To them, you are the abrasive one. To them, you are the one they are uncomfortable with. But take that as a compliment. Oh my gosh, take that as a compliment. The frequency in my ears just changed when I said that. Take that as a compliment. If a person finds you uncomfortable and you know that you are self-accountable, you know that you're in therapy, doing the right thing, actually calling yourself out, not lying about stuff, not covering things up, and you're being authentically you, and you're doing it in a positive, beautiful way, don't be afraid of rubbing a toxic person the wrong way, because they see something in you that they wish they were. And it's jealousy. And anybody who doesn't stand behind you or anybody who doesn't support you, it's jealousy. It could be a lot of different things as to why they're jealous. Doesn't mean they don't love you. Doesn't mean that, you know, they probably don't want you to succeed. They'll probably do little things, and when people do things that it's small enough for you to know that they did something that was underhanded, but it's so small you can't really prove it. And then if you bring it up, they're like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Those kind of people crack me up. That's when you just got to say, okay. And trust me when I say they will also try to take what you're doing and spin it around and use it against you. Like they'll try to act like you and be like anything that they can do to try to make it seem like that you're the problem when they're the ones who do all the shady crap. So that is my podcast for today. If you have anything that you want to say about this podcast, or if you want to talk about any future podcasts, topics or anything that you want to share, please email me at tarasmentalcalibration@gmail.com. That is all one word, no spaces, no apostrophes, no underscores. tarasmentalcalibration@gmail.com. So I'm sending you a bunch of love and light. I will talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.